I live, laugh, and learn today, and may I let love lead the way. When I work, rest, and when I play, I'm gonna let love lead the way. Let love lead, let love lead. I'm gonna let love lead the way. Let love lead, let love lead. Gonna let love lead, let love lead the way. May I live, laugh, and learn today, and may I let love lead the way. When I work, rest, and when I play, I'm gonna let love lead the way. Let love lead, let love lead. I'm gonna let love lead the way. Let love lead, let love lead. Gonna let love lead, let love lead the way. All right, y'all. Let love lead the way. 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 Let love lead, let love lead. I'm gonna let love lead the way. Let love lead, let love lead. Gonna let love lead, let love lead. 2 times. Let love lead, let love lead. 3 times. Let love lead, let love lead the way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let love lead. Yeah. That was fun, huh? We're going to do one of our favorite little spirit rising arrangements of one of our favorite classic spirituals.
I got peace
Like a river, I got peace. Like a river, I got peace. Like a river in my soul.
I got peace
Like a river, I got peace. Like a river, I got peace. Like a river in my
soul. I got peace.
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 I got peace. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I got joy. 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 I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. got love.
I 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 got joy.
I got joy.
I got joy.
I got joy.
I got joy. I got joy.
I got joy.
I got peace.
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 I've got peace.
Woo! Welcome to Columbine Spiritual Center, everybody. We're centered in God. We celebrate a world of harmony, peace, and abundance for all. We have an amazing lineup of special music today. Steve Larson and friends, including a birthday boy today. Mr. Bill Holmes is having a birthday. Can't think of a better way to celebrate.
Well, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my brother, not my sister, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my brother, not my sister, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Well, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer.
Not the elder nor the deacon, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not the elder nor the deacon, but it's me, oh Lord,
standing in the need of prayer. Well, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer.
Not my mother, but it's me, oh Lord,
Standing in the need of prayer.
not my father, not my mother, but it's me, oh Lord,
Standing in the need of prayer. Well, it's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer.
Not the stranger, not my neighbor, but it's me, oh Lord,
Standing in the need of prayer.
Not the stranger, not my neighbor, but it's me, oh Lord,
Standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. It's me, it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Standing in the need of prayer. Standing in the need of prayer.
That was really great, guys. Thank you.
Let's do a little prayer time together, shall we? When I get this lit. This is my most challenging part of the morning. Just getting this candle to light. Oh, come on. I'm going to change the angle of the candle a little bit. There we go. And so I invite you to join me. If you're comfortable, close your eyes, join me in closing your eyes, but for sure, take a nice deep breath. Let's allow the space for Spirit. And speaking of space, one of our beloved, Mike Martin, passed away yesterday. And as we know, the soul is going through a transition. Mike's soul is going through a transition. So we just gently hold Mike in our hearts, letting him know that it's okay, that we loved him here. He will continue to be loved. And we release him. Make his journey as easy, as simple as possible. It's also important this morning that we be holding people that are suffering in our hearts, and we know the President and the First Lady are in need of our prayers for healing at depth, and healing physically. And anybody that's on your prayer list today, or maybe yourself, that we're just inviting everyone into our hearts right now. Anyone that's hurting or suffering, there's plenty of room in our hearts. And sweet Spirit, as we open today to forgiveness and the opportunity we have to grow, to heal, to really expand into a vessel that is open to the full potential of life, we are here this morning accepting that invitation, recognizing that we're not really victims in our life, but we are being invited by life to be free. And in that freedom to hear and accept all the nudges of life, to fully live this amazing mystery, full of love, full of potential, inviting us and continually inviting us until we receive it, accept it. And so this morning we're open, we're ready, we say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare to be a sanctuary, thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary
for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Thanks again, guys. We really do need to have you guys regularly. This is great. We're talking about forgiveness, and not just any forgiveness, not the let bygones be bygones, the forgiveness that at least I grew up with. We're talking about radical forgiveness using Colin Tipping's book by the same name. We're exploring the fact that whenever anything gets under our skin, something that traditionally we would say that we need to forgive something or someone for, even to forgive God for, that it is a wonderful opportunity for us to do that deep dive and see what exactly is going on inside of us so that we can simply be free of it. That issue is pushing against something that is tender, something that hurts inside of us, something we don't want to be reminded of. And we can just take that deep breath and say, okay, I'm the one reacting here. What's going on? These particular chapters, by the way, we're skipping, if you're reading along with us, we're skipping chapter 5, and this week we're looking at chapters 6, 7, and 8. These, in my opinion, are more technical chapters where Colin jumps into how is it that our ego forms? What happens in our psyche as we are children and developing and needing some kind of mechanism to help us to cope with the intensity of life sometimes? And he does a beautiful job of bringing in several different elements. I don't want this to be a lecture per se, so as I often do, I want to jump into an example and see if we can't work with it a little bit today. So here's what happened to me this week. I got a call from a friend, a call that I actually really appreciated, letting me know that another friend of mine was upset with me, angry with me. And this is what I find interesting. And right after the call, I put a call into my friend. Now, he didn't pick up. And in fact, he didn't pick up for, he never picked up. I called him again the next day. But do you know how that is? So I have a lot of experience in things like nonviolent communication, in crucial conversations, in any number of things that we have studied that repeatedly have shown me when we are willing to connect with someone who is frustrated with us, angry, who we're angry with, that that face-to-face contact, handled with a level of maturity, generates a real connection again, that which is in the way can be freed and moved on. And yet in that time frame, with all the experience I have repeatedly, with all I know, as more the adult, my ego chattered on during that time, saying things like, I can't believe he's angry at me. We decided this as a group of friends that we're going to do it. I'm sorry that he's not happy with the way that it went. It's just pretty much constant chatter. And it reminds me, the beauty of our spirituality is that we're practicing, and that it's not a point of judging ourselves as to whether our ego goes away. I mean, I don't know about you, I'm fully expecting to die with an ego, but I'm not so tied in. There's a part of me that knows, yeah, I'm going to have this conversation. Yeah, everything will be better after this conversation. And there's the ego doing the ego's thing. And so a big part of our spirituality is not getting caught. I love what Colin has to say. I think he describes the intensity of the ego well. Although all belief systems quickly become resistant to change, the ego is no ordinary belief system in this regard. It is extremely resistant. It holds incredible power in our unconscious mind and carries an enormous block of votes when it comes to making decisions about who we think we are, or I'm going to add here, how we think we need to defend ourselves. This belief system is so very powerful that it appears to be an entity in its own right, and we have called it the ego. So don't beat yourself up if you think you've done all sorts of work and yet still the ego exerts itself. It's going to exert itself. The key is, are you tied into it, right? So here's what I also found interesting. The call the next day, I called the next morning, got to have a great conversation with my friend. Turns out my friend was very angry and went through a whole host of things that I've done over the last many years, it turns out. And, on the one hand, while it was happening, I felt such joy for my friend that he was getting this off his chest, as we say, off our chest. But then after I hung up, I realized that I had some frustrations with some of the things that were said in the call. I felt frustrated at being accused of being what I heard as being self-centered and being selfish. And, I found myself at any time I'd reflect on it going, that's not me. I'm not that way. That seems unfair. Ever find yourself saying things like that? And what's interesting is I wasn't getting it, because this very week, one of the things that Colin Tipping focuses on is projection. And the way I understand projection, and I understand this could be a very simplified description, let's say, but I always think of projection as we were all raised in culture. And different cultures. Like we were raised in a culture of our family, we were raised in the culture of maybe our religion or the culture of a spiritual community, we're raised in the general culture. And all of those cultures, whether they intend to or not, they define behaviors, thoughts, activities as good or bad. And most of us want to be identified with those things that are good. And if there is particularly something that we feel is not accepted or that we've been shamed about, then we tend to unconsciously put that away. That's not me. And we easily can project it onto someone else if we see them doing their behavior. Basically what we're saying is, they're bad. And Collins says, that a good indication of this is when we feel angry and judgmental, that with the judgment of projection always comes anger, he says. So let me just see. I have all these quotes today that I feel somewhat attached to, and I might as well see what they say. Oh, okay, good. We're still on track. One of the things he said here, and Bonnie, you can bring this up, when we see ourselves as victims, we think only about killing the messenger. We miss the message. And so you see, already, if I was fully identified with my ego in that point, I'd already be really wanting to kill my friend who brought up all these things that he was angry at me. But isn't it interesting, this one about, that's not me. I'm not selfish. I am not self-centered. Really got me. So, I'm sitting in bed, and I'm really not getting it. It's in the morning time, and morning is I'm up early. It's an easy time both for me to be clear, but it's also a time when my ego can really chew on me. And it's back into this, how dare he, blah, blah, blah. And Collins says something really beautiful. He says, it's through the gentle whispers of the higher self that we wake up, bit by bit, until we finally remember who we are. And it was really astounding to me. While my ego is yattering on, my ego doesn't fill space like it used to. The prayer and meditation that I do, the work that I've done to take as many deep dives as I can into what's going on, has also left more of a sense of quiet in my mind, in my consciousness. And in one of those moments of quiet between the ego, demonizing my friend, I heard a simple word whispered, projection. Now, isn't it funny? I've been immersed in these 3 chapters for the entire week. I think I read them last Sunday after Sue's talk, and yet I did not recognize that projection was probably going on. And we have to be aware of that. That's why we engage and we practice spiritually. You're going to read these chapters and you go, isn't that nice? And oh yeah, maybe I've done that a few times. Or wow, I can really catch myself at doing that in the future. And then it's going to hit, and be prepared. You're not going to recognize it. And it's why we open to the guidance too, and why we are in a spiritual community where when we go to a friend, they might say, do you remember what Colin Tipping wrote in his book? Could this be projection? You seem to be, frustrated and judgmental. As I started to explore the idea of projection, I could feel the hint of how in our family, what would you say, giving to others was highly valued. I really felt like my mother's whole life was around giving to others, making sure that others' needs are met, making sure that we're attuned to them. I was fortunate that very morning, just a couple of hours later, I got to go through the RAIN process with a friend of mine. I've told you that's one of my spiritual practices every week. And in that process, I got to move deeper into this culture in my family about being nice and these defenses that we form. I shouldn't say being nice, being generous. The defense, like I started looking at, what are the behaviors, what are the defenses that I adopted to make sure that I looked like I was generous and that I was not self-centered, So I learned to be nice. I learned to be engaged with people. I learned to really pay attention to what they said so that I could be attuned to them. These are all ways that our unconscious projections cause us to take on behaviors where we can convince ourselves, no, that's not me. But my friend, we always do our RAIN process, and then we have 5 or 10 minutes of feedback. And in the feedback, she said, isn't this interesting? You know, in that first house that you were under contract for in Grand Lake, where our new home is, you really struggled when the costs of that house became higher, the repair costs became high. And I heard you repeatedly say, I don't feel comfortable spending this kind of money on myself. And you know, we can sit and we can say, so what if there's some parts of us they're not willing to accept? You know, so what if we project them onto other people? Well, the reality is that whenever there's something that we're not willing to accept, we start maneuvering around it in our lives. You know, suddenly we wouldn't want to do anything that would even reveal to ourselves, that would even make the unconscious conscious, that actually there's a part of us that wants to have what it wants to have, and maybe deserves to have what it wants to have. I mean, the whole experience that I've had in our new town of Grand Lake is, this is really somewhere that my soul's supposed to be for a while. I don't know how long, but it has been so nurturing. And yet my belief system, deeply ingrained, that it's not okay to want something for myself. And actually, it was a defense. You know, we had issues around spending money in my family, that it became easier to just be about the other than to feel my own desires. But you can see how it begins then to block the nudging of spirit in us. And it can stop us in one way or another from having the things that we want, or from stepping out in ways that are bigger than we think we are, because we can't be this or we can't be that, or we have to do it right. There's all these projections that go on. Let me see what the next quote is, just to stay on track. Oh, we're doing great. So then it unfolded even further. Now you see, I'm starting to get curious about, okay, where am I judgmental? Where does this, anger come up? And I was thinking when I read the chapter, and I actually said, if you can imagine, after hearing even what you've heard so far this talk, I thought, well, I don't really get that angry at people so much anymore. And I definitely do have some judgments, but I wonder, have I worked through my projections? Yeah, just wipe that out of your consciousness right now. We're all projectors, right? Until we reach that point of ultimate enlightenment, and then the minute you think you're enlightened, you might be projecting. So, give it up. So I'm, now oriented towards it, and I'm talking to a friend of mine on the telephone who lives out of state. And he's telling me about a friend of his who has just struck it rich during COVID. He evidently owns a company that, I don't know, I can't remember if the guy made disinfectants or cleaning supplies or whatever, but all of a sudden his product is in huge demand, and he's made a small fortune since March. And the friend was just telling me, yeah, you just went out and, this is an older guy, it's just he and his wife, and they went out and bought an 8,000 square foot home. And I immediately could feel my judgment come up. I have judgment that, one, really, for the two of you, you're going to spend that much money. For the two of you, you're going to use up that much resources to cool or heat an 8,000 square foot home. And I was frustrated with them. I don't even know this person. And I went, aha, I'm projecting. What am I projecting now? And what I got to see was it wasn't not only did we have to be selfless, we had to put the other one first, take care of the other, but there was this whole environment in my family, this whole culture that was supported in that you think things through. We kind of had you could tell that my parents sort of had a budget that they operated with, and despite the fact that the spending of money would be difficult, especially if it was spending on us, but my parents were very generous, and so you could tell that there was a budget for giving, and there could be spontaneity in that, but there was, it was always kept within the budget, so you want to be sort of logical, you want to think things through, you want to be generous. You can see there's all these things, and when someone after, 6 months goes out and spends millions of dollars on a home, I'm like, oh no. So you see, there's a part of me that I just can't accept. Can't accept that, there are things that I'd like to have in my lifetime that don't make any sense, like a house on a lake in Colorado. Or the other piece is, I can't let myself, you should see me go through major decisions. Particularly a few years ago, before this whole house thing happened in Grand Lake, I had to evaluate everything, right? I couldn't just do it spontaneously. I couldn't spend outside of the general budget that I live in because it wasn't valued. Again, you can imagine how if Spirit has tremendous ideas for you, and they can be just little things, but if they're outside of what you accept about yourself, and you're not willing to look at this process of, why won't I let myself do it? Why, when others do it, do I become judgmental and frustrated? Even if it's just subtle, guys, because I'm not like raging angry that some stranger, I'm just frustrated with it, frustrated with what human beings do. It means that there's something I can't allow myself to do because I can't accept that could be me too. I love now, I work with a lot of people, and I'll say, well, why don't you just own that you're a bitch or an asshole or whatever? Why don't you just own it? Why do you have so much defense up against it? So what? Someone calls you that. And they can't. That just, and I just love these days. And maybe that's one of your practices this week. Just own it all. Yeah, I'm a mass murderer. Yeah, I drive. I don't adhere to the speed limits. Yeah, I'm not really that law-abiding all the time. Just own it. It's so freeing just to say, yeah, I'm that. Or I have the potential of being that. Because the truth is, if we are all expressions of the same Spirit, shining through a soul that has a slightly different texture than the soul next to us, but it's still the same light, then the potential of that light is the same potential in us, whether it's good or bad. And the beauty is that we're practicing on opening ourselves up so that the love of Spirit is what informs us, not the separation of ego. From that place, you don't have to worry about the fact that you've got the potential to do all sorts of horrible things. Because as you open up more and more, the love of Spirit is what informs you. So let's see what's next. Here's what Colin says to kind of summarize a little bit. If you want to know what you dislike about yourself and have likely disowned, that's the key part, and have likely disowned, simply look at what annoys you about the people that come into your life. Boy, put that on a Post-it. Remember, when you're fuming about what somebody else has done, what a wonderful opportunity. And he goes on to say, you could be thankful for those people. It feels like the other person is doing something to you to make you angry. However, when you own that your feelings begin with you, not them, you will drop the need to feel victimized and realize that the person is doing these things not to you, but for you. Not to you, but for you, enabling you to take back the projection and love it in yourself. So, this week, I invite you to have some fun. I mean, it's important to have a little bit of fun with this, but start looking at who drives you nuts. Are you in a relationship? Start there. What a wonderful opportunity. You know, for years, I've bemoaned the fact I just haven't had a long-term relationship. Well, I'm in one now. Mercy. I've never had so much self-reflection, and I try to thank Stuart on a pretty much daily basis, but some days it's much easier than others. We are all big projectors. We don't want to look at it. So have some fun with it. Be lighthearted about it. And particularly be looking at where you both have, and it doesn't have to be a lot, judgment and some level of anger. We're angry. Stop mirroring this back to me. I don't want to see this in myself. We're angry at them for holding the mirror up to us. It'll be a great exercise. And if you're getting really bogged down in it, stop for a while. Remember, spiritual work is intended to bring that which is unconscious conscious. And once we see it, it becomes so much easier. Like right now, if someone said to me, "Oh, Scott, you're so self-centered," I think I could say, "You're so right." You are so right. There are times when I just want it for me. I just want the world to revolve around me. Isn't that wonderful? Now, if I lived from that all the time, I wouldn't be very easy to be around, would I? But I don't live from that all the time. And it's important to me to see that. It's important for me to see that sometimes I'm self-centered. Sometimes I'm selfish. Sometimes I'm mean. Sometimes I'm not the image that my family said I should be. So let's, and to remember too, I just wanted to moving into the time of meditation, I want you to remember that as we're willing to clear this stuff away, not only do we make room for the pure potential that is ours, but we make room for that sweet whisper of spirit. Just as it whispered to me the word projection to bring me back to a trajectory of healing. Let's move into a time of quiet meditation as we open to that sweet whisper of spirit in each of us. I invite you again to make yourself comfortable. I always think it's important to plant our feet firmly on the ground. Take a nice deep breath. To recognize, I often, when I hear a talk like this, my judge gets on me about how imperfect I am. If your judge is all over you, tell it to, why don't you tell it to move to the next room for a while? You don't deserve to be judged for this. This is something that is built into the human mechanism, something that is with great delight that we get to transcend, because on the other side is freedom. And so recognize the strength in your heart, the support of your belly, the intelligence of your mind, that no matter what the ego convince you of, and it does have quite a strong argument, that there's so much more to you. You are an expression of pure love, bright light. You are the hands and feet that allow spirit to bring things manifest. As we sung about earlier, you are the sanctuary for which spirit plants ideas and lets you run. It is through our willingness to look at our projections, to own the fullness of who we are, the good and the bad, what we judge as the good and the bad. We don't even know if it's good and bad. It is through the embracing of the fullness of who we are that we can repeatedly say yes and feel the satisfaction of living a life that is unfolding for us. Unfolding for our joy, unfolding for our sense of fulfillment, unfolding for us to experience love. Full and beautiful. And so we rest now for a few moments in the silence, making space for that quiet whisper. Beautiful. This is the, this is the time in our service where we take an offering, hopefully not just symbolically. We invite you to go to our website and hit the PayPal button, or you can text to give, or you can mail checks into our community. All the information is not only on our website, but on this screen right here. And our website is columbineunity.org. We have an offertory blessing that we like to say. It reminds us of what really is our source in life. And so I'd like to invite you to say it with me. God's love has always met and will always meet all my needs. I give freely, I receive abundantly, and I am grateful. Bonnie, what kind of community news do we have today? There is our donate slide, which I just talked about. Do you have anything beyond that, Bonnie? She does. It's slow. I can tell you one thing that's going to come up. Say it again. Conscious what?
Conscious parenting. The unity.
Oh, yes, yes. So Unity Worldwide is offering a class. You can, is it on our website too now?
It is.
It's on our website now too, but you can also go to their website.
$5.
You should be, turn on
Once
Janice's
again.
mic, because she's got it. Okay, Janice, go. Tell us about this.
Conscious parenting. So this is going to happen over 3 Zoom sessions, and the cost is $105. You can sign up for it right there on our site if you are
Perfect.
interested in learning more about consciously parenting
Okay, great.
children.
Should we do blankets next?
Sure.
So and I just want to make a pitch for our first service at 9, which we hold outside. It's wonderful.
So awesome.
It's so awesome. One, it's a little bit more relaxed, and also we're just out in the yard together, with our masks on and practicing distancing, but being social. And it's cold out there. It's getting cold. We thought 90 degrees was bad. Well, we're seeing that the other end is not so great either. So we've ordered some blankets, some beautiful blue blankets with the Columbine logo on. It's part of our fundraiser. They'll be offered, I think, at $25 each. They've been ordered, so they should be in quickly. So one, come to our first service and wrap up in one of our blankets so that we can add some resources to our coffers.
We're going to change the formation a little bit. We've been on the patio in order to provide shade in the heat of summer. Now we're going to shift things back so that we'll orient you out on the lawn where the sun will warm you up a little bit.
Perfect. What else do we need to talk about?
So the books, The Gift of Anger, have finally come into the bookstore. We've got about 5 or 6 of them there. We also have a few Radical Forgiveness books available as well. Scott says that you can pay twice as much in the bookstore. It's the latecomer penalty. And finally, if you've ever been to Scott and Julia's chili and margarita party, they've done this most years after the gala, and it's always been a huge crowd and a great success. And what we'd like to do, since we know so many of you are wanting to connect right now, we'd like to plan one of those parties for October. So if you're interested, put it in the little comment section right now. I want to come, and we're going to be doing that on either a Friday or Saturday this month before the weather really starts to change.
Right, before the weather changes. And we're thinking, it'll again be a safe event. It may even be a tailgating party, but we'll supply the chili and the margaritas, and we want you all to come and just enjoy safely. Are we ready?
I think that's it.
Let's sing, shall we?
Go ahead and stand up if you'd like, hold hands if you'd like. Otherwise, just keep on hanging out in your jammies.
With God as creator,
light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Take it, fellas.
It's a song by Chuck Pyle, who left us a number of years ago, but whose music and messages live on, called Step by Step. There's an old ancient saying in the wind, one must only take a first step to begin. You're on your way, then you've done the hardest part. Now make your journey with a generous heart.
Step by step,
Side by side, hand in hand, this whole world's a better ride.
step by step,
Side by side, take a little step with your neighbor. Side by side.
well, we've stumbled, we've broken our stride, wearing old worn-out boots of foolish pride. We're gonna put on our brand new running shoes to run a race in which no one can really lose.
Step by step, side by side, hand in hand, this whole world's a better ride.
Step by step,
Side by side, take a little step with your neighbor. Side by side. Well, if you see me falling down and you stop to lend a hand, what goes around comes round and round and around.
It don't mean you can't do it for yourself. It just means that your neighbor's gonna know. If he needs help, he knows just where to go.
step by step,
Side by side, hand in hand, this whole world's a better ride.
step by step,
Side by side, take a little step with your neighbor. Side by side.
Now if we understand that the heart's the one true power, and that nothing that we see is really ours, that from a satellite we all look like one, then I think our world's time might have finally come.
step by step,
Side by side, hand in hand, this whole world's a better ride. Step by step, by step, side by side, take a little step with your neighbor. Take a little step with your neighbor. Take a little step with your neighbor. Side by side.
Bye.